I'm sure that after the last few weeks, all of you have seen this show. But Ren, you ask, you have a channel. Is this the only show you're doing? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about later on. From Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live at PBL-TV, show number 11. I'm Rene Goche. In Canada, we are on the tail end of Victoria Day weekend, the day we honor the Queen who allowed us to have our own country while keeping the crown as our head of state. It was the first of such arrangement of its kind, and it opened the door for other colonies to become countries. But hey, it's the way things worked then, and it's a terrific arrangement. But that's not the arrangement you're looking for. I know you are looking for the latest news. In Dollar Scotland on May 20th, it was Inverary and District that took first place over Police Scotland Fife and People's Ford Boghall and Bathgate. Buck and Peterson took first place in the Grade 2 level over the Dollar Academy Juveniles and Portland and District. Macanta was the top Grade 3 band. Incidentally, Inverary and District was actually the top band last weekend in Gowrock as well. In the Dunbar contest, it was Grade 2 City of Edinburgh that was the top band of the day last weekend, while Buck and Pearson was the top Grade 1 band in Banchory. We'll go into detail in this week's results show. Not much has changed in the Eastern U.S. standings, with St. Thomas Episcopal School on top in the Grade 3 level, and Atlanta remains on top of the standings in the Grade 4 level. In the Grade 5 level, it is City of St. Augustine still on top over Greater Richmond, and two bands in third place. In the Midwest, the Alma competition is coming. Well, it's already there. But the pipe band life is going out to Alma, and so will be Ontario's Peel Regional Police pipe band. They will be there to get ready for their campaign to regain their Grade 1 standing, which was lost a little more than 5 years ago. In the Western U.S., 12 bands will be competing in Costa Mesa, California at the Scottish Fest. There will be 3 Grade 5 bands, 6 Grade 4 bands, and another 6 Grade 3 bands competing in their levels in the Orange County town in the Golden Gate State. And when I come back, I will have my next guest. He'll be Jeffrey Mann. Sit tight. We'll be right back. You probably heard that. One of the interesting things about doing a live show is that you hear everything. But hey, what are we to do? We want to keep this. We want to keep this real. We don't want to keep this unfiltered, and sometimes that's just the price you pay. Now, tonight we're going out to a city that's slightly north of Salt Lake City called Bountiful in the state of Utah. Our next guest is the president of the Western USPBA, and he's also the chair of the ANA PBA, which is the Alliance of North American Pipe Band Associations. And what can I say? We're glad to have him with us, especially when we just finished talking about the West. He is my friend, Jeffrey Mann. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks so much, Renee. I really appreciate the opportunity to hop on and be on the podcast. Thanks.
Well, it's really nice to have you on the show. I mean, we just started talking several weeks ago when I was looking for when I was following the Western U.S. circuit, and I guess the one thing I wanted to chase after you for the Phoenix results, some way to get. I mean, I guess the challenge here is trying to get the most timely of information possible. And, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And then I find that I'm losing more often than I'm winning these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, that's not on you. It's the exchange of information in a region of your size is just as Herculean. It's just as much of a Herculean task as it is in the Midwest and the Eastern U.S. So I don't blame you for that. I mean,
Renee, one of the things that we find is if the associations are set up where you have really good type steward programs, and your stewards are active and they're able to track those results and bring the results to the tent. And then once the results get back, to have them either scanned and sent to the registrars so that they can go ahead and do their job. Man, that really makes it easy. And we find that some of the other associations, BC, Midwest, Ontario, Eastern, all these other associations do such a bang up job typically in getting results in. And so, that's something that we have really buckled down this year and tried to work on doing additional training for our stewards and those that are working at the games and behind the scenes at the games.
Yeah, I mean, it's never an easy task for sure. So let's talk a little bit about your history.
Okay.
You didn't really start piping initially, correct?
No.
I mean, you were on when you were young. You were learning to play the organ.
Right. So I started out. We had an old Hammond organ in the house. I think it was they called it a C3 or something like that. And I was forced as a little kid to sit there for 15 minutes a day. And I remember I would be red in the face and I would sweat. My feet didn't touch the pedals on the organ because I was too short. And so I'd have to kind of push the bench forward, which always, inevitably ended with me sliding out and sitting right on my butt, with the bench. And then it was just chaos. And, finally, I don't know how my mother kept up with, me taking lessons for years and years, but that's correct. I started early on. I think I started at age 6 or 7 playing the organ. Later on, when I was, I think I was either 17 or 18, my mother felt once again that it would be prudent for me to get a different instructor. And so we went down to the Salt Lake City Mormon Tabernacle, and I took lessons with Dr. Alexander Schreiner, and I worked with him for a number of years, and then switched to Roy Darley, who was one of the tabernacle organists, and that is my claim to fame on the organ.
So at what point?
I did have a great. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. I mean, you're just as much part of the show here.
I did have just a great opportunity back in, I think it was 1976. I was up in Montreal, living on the South Shore in Saint-Hubert, and I had the opportunity to play with Pierre Grand Maison, who was the chief organist at Notre Dame Cathedral there in Montreal, as well as at St. Joseph's Basilica.
So you obviously had to have played a Cassavant.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, they basically rammed over our heads here in Canada the fact that Joseph Cassavant created this amazing organ, and his workmanship is renowned throughout the world. But yes,
absolutely, and they have a Cassavant organ in the Mormon Tabernacle in the basement that they use as practice.
Why wouldn't they? It's a Cassavant.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
It's right up there with Sony when it comes to hi-fi. Anyways, so at what point did you decide that you wanted to get into piping and drumming?
And that's an interesting question. So my best friend at the time, who lived around the corner from me, he was the pipe major back then for the Utah Pipe Band. His name was Andrew Morrill. And so he and I, would pal around, and he'd play his pipes, and I thought that was cool. And so he thought it might be good if I got into tenor drumming. So I actually started tenor drumming, and I played with the Utah Pipe Band. I think it was at least a year, maybe 2 years, as a tenor drummer. And then at the same time, I thought, I want to learn the pipes. And so the head of the family, which was Andrew Morrill's uncle, David Barclay, actually started teaching me. And that was my my start into the world of pipe chanter. And so I started with that. I took some lessons with Andrew Morrill for a while. Later on, I took some lessons from Jack Lee, and that lasted, I think I was there about a year or so with Jack. And then my current instructor is Bob Worrell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've been with Bob for a few years. I would say just because of both of our schedules, it's not an every week thing, but we do it. It's been ongoing for a few years now.
Well,
So
you couldn't ask for a better instructor for sure.
he's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yes, we like him very much too. Yeah, I know he went out to Smoky Mountain last weekend. I just got to figure out where he's going this coming weekend,
Yeah,
which
it's
will be part of my series of Where's Worrell.
that's right. You know, that's
I was even going to Photoshop a picture of Waldo
right.
with him,
Oh,
but obviously I can't do that until he's somewhere else. Right now he's home, so
yeah.
yeah,
That
yeah.
guy is
For those of you who know Bob but don't follow him on Facebook, he's been receiving cocoons of butterflies and moths, and just recently he now has some atlas moths that he is bringing out into the wild now. I mean, it's I would love to the one thing I've never been able to see is a monarch chrysalis on a milkweed plant.
yeah.
It is so elusive. So elusive.
So Bob, and this was kind of interesting to find out. He actually is, and it was, I couldn't help but smile because I thought, of course he is, of course he is. But he is, I don't know if you call it certified or licensed or whatever it is, but his house is a like a safe haven, or they have a special name for it, where they take care of these moths and these butterflies, and they grow them, and he's got them all over his basement, and you
Wow.
know but yeah, he is actually this authorized, whatever you call it, that handles these moths and butterflies. It's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. I mean, that's anybody who's doing something like that is doing God's work for sure.
That's right.
Okay, so you're learning from Bob now how to pipe,
Right.
and what bands have you been with, or have you been with any bands at all?
So anybody listening to this podcast that knows me is probably just laughing and falling off their rocking chair right now, because I would say that I am probably not even a good player. My brother-in-law would be, if he was drinking a glass of water, he'd be spitting that all over the place right now. Um, but
Well, you know what they say.
you got to.
The journey to wisdom is beginning with knowing that you know nothing.
That's right. That's right. So, my uh, like I said, I had started with the Utah Pipe Band, and
Yes.
then Andrew decided that they were going to start a band called Wasatch and District. And
Mhm.
so currently there is a grade 5, they have a juvenile, they have a grade 4. There was a grade 3, and that was absorbed into the grade 2 band. And so they have a grade 2 as well. And I've been playing with their grade 5.
Hey, I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere, right?
That's right. Oh, I love it. It's great. There's no, you know, no guilt or bad feelings or anything like that for me here,
Absolutely. I
because
mean,
yeah,
yeah. Well, you know what it's like gambling. When the fun stops, you got to stop.
that's right. That's right.
So, now at what point did you start becoming involved in the Western US circuit?
and that is another hilarious story. Um, Andrew was going to, I think it was Santa Rosa. I want to say it was the Santa Rosa Games years and years ago,
Right.
probably back in '96 or '97. And so he said, "Hey, let's go. You can come and watch the band, and then we can hang out, and it'll be really fun."
Hmm.
So he was sitting on the WUSPBA music board at the time, and they were going to have a meeting prior to the games. And so the Friday morning or something, he said, "I've got to go into this meeting. Why don't you sit on this bench here in the lobby? I won't be more than an hour, and then we'll go take off, get some breakfast or something." And so
Right.
I sat there, and about 20 minutes later, Andrew comes out with this lady. She introduces to me, her name is Susan Thornton. And
Okay.
Susan was the president at the time of the Western United States Pipe Band Association. And Susan said, "I understand that you know how to use a computer." And uh, I had no idea where that was going, but I said, "Sure, I can do spreadsheets and you know Word and all that kind of stuff." So yeah, I guess I can use a computer. And she said, "Well, we need a registrar." And I had no idea what she was talking about. And so she said, "Would you be interested?" And Andrew kind of voluntold me and said, yes, he'd love to help. And so, so I went into the meeting and met this cadre of executive committee members,
Yes.
and they told me to sit down and give me a pencil and paper and told me to take notes. And they started talking about things like I remember this clearly, talking about MSRs. And
Right.
I was sitting there looking at everybody else on both sides of me, trying to figure out how you spelled the word MSR. EMMESSER, you know, and that, I mean, I'm dead serious,
Hey,
and
it's a good story. Don't get me wrong. It's. I mean,
so
you know what? When somebody comes into it from out of nowhere, you know, sometimes people need a little direction here,
right.
and you are no different.
Well, it was a the the comedy relief for for a few minutes, so I was glad I was
Yeah.
able to provide that for them. But
Well, I mean, I mean, you just you already ticked a box.
right,
Computer literate.
right,
So and then and then you're trying to figure out what an MSR is.
right,
It's like, okay, well, you guys are computer illiterate, and I'm asking what an MSR is.
right, right. So, there you go. And that only goes to show you how desperate they were for needing somebody to help them out. So
Yeah,
that was a good break-in. That was a good baptism by fire to
indeed,
get in that.
indeed.
Met incredible people. Susan, she was also the mayor of Littleton, Colorado, at the
Mhm.
time of the
Oh, really?
school
Yes.
shootings,
Yes.
and so she had to deal with that mess.
Oh my
And
God.
it's just amazing the people that you come into contact and you meet. So
Everybody has a story, and it shapes
yeah,
your life in some way, shape, or form. And holy small world, Batman!
right, right, yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
So here you are, helping set up, try to set up a method to gather statistics because that's what they want you for. They
Right,
want you to get up all the points, have some method to keep track of everything,
right,
and,
right,
then put it and tabulate it all in such a way that the information is accurate and timely.
right. So we built it into an old access database,
Ooh,
and that's what we used for years and years and years and years.
yeah, wow. That takes me back
Yeah,
several years. And I'm an IT professional, so but as my full-time job, my day job. Well, it's not a day job; it's a day and night, and in the middle of the night job for me.
absolutely.
Depend-
Never ends. Never ends.
well, as they say, uh, it's a typical motto. There are no weekends in IT.
Any moment. Any moment.
Yeah, any
Yeah,
moment you're gonna get that phone call. I mean, I'm supposed to be on holiday today, but what happens? I get a call.
right.
But hey, I don't mind helping a colleague out now and then. So that's all good. So eventually you become president of the WSPBA. How'd
Right.
that come about?
Nobody else wanted the job.
That reminds me of a story of one guy, the guy who didn't attend the AGM ends up becoming president of the PBBSO. Chris Buchanan. I'm going, hey Chris, how'd you become president? Well, you know those meetings that you got to go to. Well, I missed that one.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I can see Chris's face now.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I love Chris. He's a great guy. I've interacted with him many times, just as I'm interacting with Michael Gray,
Yeah.
especially in my role. I
Right.
mean, being a drum major and getting involved in in a lot of the festivals, I end up finding myself in the main tent. So
Sure.
especially especially for certain events, and I'm talking, shooting the breeze with all the guys, and so yeah, I mean I'm always networking in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
I mean it's I guess the more people I know, the more comfortable I am doing what I'm doing.
I I think that stands to reason, right?
Yeah,
Because it's so amazing the people that you meet, and
for sure, for sure.
the ability to not only network but to become friends and to understand, you know, uh, people's opinions and their thoughts, and how they see things, and how that correlates maybe with what you're trying to do. I
Sure.
that's probably one of the the things that I love the most about the job,
For sure.
So
For sure. And I mean, you have to have a passion for it too. I mean,
absolutely
if you didn't have the passion for it, if your heart isn't in it, I mean, make way for someone else.
right,
Don't don't waste anybody's time.
right,
I mean, either
exactly.
either you're in it or you're not.
When you really look at it, if you're really trying to fulfill the mission of whatever organization you're working with, it's so critical that everybody's on board. And like you say, if there are people that there, because there's so much work that needs to be done, if people aren't willing to kind of step up and do their part, then that just kind of uh, allows that one area of focus that you're trying to better. It just kind of keeps it lagging a little bit, and then you have to engage other people to help pick up the pace a little bit in that area. But when you've got great people that you're working with, like I've had the the incredible opportunity to work with some of the most amazingly talented individuals that I've ever met, man, that just makes everything so much easier and better. I'll
Of
tell you.
course. Of course. So in your neck of the woods, the next big games are in Costa Mesa, California,
Right.
in Orange County. How far is that from Anaheim?
Uh, Costa Mesa to I would say it's a good half hour on a probably on a easy freeway that's not congested. Maybe 45 minutes away, you know, if you're bucking traffic a little bit.
Yeah. Well, being not far from Toronto, I kind of know that. I mean,
Right.
especially when I'm just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the busiest highway in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
So, what can we expect in Costa Mesa?
I understand, and I hadn't seen the actual sanctioning forms, but I understand that Jack Lee is going to be out there judging. I know that
Good.
I think John, his son, is I am thinking that he might actually be competing there. Um, but I you can't beat Costa Mesa. Costa Mesa is just a fun games. There's so many people, and once again, it kind of goes back to that familial kind of thing where you're meeting up with people that you haven't seen all season, and
Yeah.
seeing the bands, and renewing acquaintances, and hearing incredibly awesome music, and comparing notes, and the whole thing. So I think that Costa Mesa is definitely you know especially for the Western United States, you know one of the games to that you have to hit. um it's going to be a fun weekend.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And several weeks ago, well, not just a few weeks ago, not that, not about I'd say 3 or 4 weeks ago. The you guys were in Vegas.
Oh yes, Vegas has a new venue. Um, they moved from Floyd Lamb Park, and they're over at Craig's Ranch. And I really love that venue. I talked to James Buggy, who runs the games, and I said, "Boy, this is great. Love the venue. Um, uh, the way James runs his games is just flawless. Everything just comes off like clockwork."
Mhm.
Margaret Craig, who is, she is one of my favorite mentors and has taught me almost everything I need to know about running Highland Games. She must be in her, I want to say she's in her 90s now. And she's been running Costa Mesa and Pleasanton and, doing all the paperwork for those games for years. And always a treat for me to see her and give her a big hug and kind of catch up on what's going on there. So yeah, Vegas was fun. The only thing, and I told Buggy about this, the only thing that they need to work out is parking. Um, you have to park 2 miles away. Well, I'm stretching that. But the distance from the parking to the actual field is fairly significant. So I think I would, if that was one thing I could work on, that would be the thing that I would work on for Vegas. But other than that, just beautiful venue,
Yes.
great people, the whole thing.
Are there other cities that have challenges when it comes to parking?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I yeah. Matter of fact, some more than others, and of course it depends on how large the games are. uh I think that it was a good move for Vegas because I think they're growing. The games are growing, and because they're growing, they need more parking. They have tons of parking. So their parking right now is adequate, and that will keep them and tide them over for years to come.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit of distance between the where you park your car and getting onto the field.
Of course, of course. So we've talked about Vegas. We've talked about we've talked about California. So what is that next big place on the Western U.S. circuit?
Uh, I mean, the big one that kind of goes along with Costa Mesa, of course, is Pleasanton, and
Mhm.
that is over the Labor Day weekend. Um,
Okay.
we've got I actually am the piping and drumming chair for Pleasanton. So this year we've got um, incredible judges. We've got Richard Parks. We've got Bob Worrell. We've
Of
got
course.
Andrew Lee, Jim
Oh,
McGilvery, Bill
really?
Cottle.
Got some big
Uh,
names in there.
yeah, my
Wow.
music board chair, who is another individual I love to death, is Ryan Murray. He used to play with Triumph Street, and then we have our drumming judges. Um, we had Scotty Fletcher, and then they just had a new child. And I understand that the new commander has said that he will not be going to Pleasanton this year. So I've got him scheduled for next year, and then Graham Brown, and I'm working on another drumming judge for Pleasanton. We've got at this point 4 grade 2 bands. We've got North Stratton, Cascadia, Winnipeg Police, and Wasatch District. I'm still wrangling and dealing with Portland Metro to see if we can somehow, I haven't given up on them yet, see if we can get them out. And then we'll have a number of grade 3 bands and 4 and 5, of course.
Well, smack dab in between San Jose and San Francisco. I mean, that does sound like a very interesting venue.
Yeah, it's great. It's at the Alameda County Fairgrounds,
right?
And I really do enjoy the venue. It's nicely. It's in the Fair Park. Of course, you've got. I like the layout of the venues and the events and things like that. I think, man, I would hate to lose that venue personally. I really do.
I can see that. I can see that. I mean, a lot of these games are held on the fairgrounds of someplace.
Right.
I mean, Maxville holds their games on their fairgrounds. Georgetown uses their fairgrounds. I mean, when you have a place that's already set up for these kinds of events, I mean, it makes organizing it a lot easier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge these days in the Western U.S.?
I think not only in the Western U.S., but I think that we see this a bit all over. One thing that we're really focusing a lot of energy and intent is education. We've had debates on what is the primary mission of the Western United States Pipe Band Association, and we talk about things from providing an area of learning and competition, and providing the learning of Scottish arts. We talk about providing a safe environment for learning. That's always something that we're concerned about.
Right.
One of the things that primarily I look at is I really think that there is, to a degree, a lack of knowledge in music theory behind, some of these kids are just absolutely incredible pipers and drummers. They're just amazing. And so after they get done playing and you go over and talk to them about their WUSPBA idiom, and they kind of look at you with this glaze over their eyes, and you think, how do we get that kind of instruction where we can actually, teach the music theory behind this incredible playing?
Right.
And, we've looked at resources. We've been talking to the National Piping Center about how we can maybe use the Piping and Drumming Qualifications Board and other resources. Andrew Douglas has offered to help us with learning modules from Piper's Dojo
Right.
with the PDQB. And, it's just getting to the point where you are actually doing the instruction or the implementation. It's easy to talk up a number of things that you want to do, but there again, it kind of goes back to that passion. Who's
Yes.
going to actually be doing it? Because uh, 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 an executive committee can't do it on their own.
Of course, of course.
So
But wouldn't you say that the educational system plays a part in this too? Because in the United States, they have cut and cut and cut to the point where the finer arts aren't even looked at anymore. I mean, they're not looking at music the way it is done up here in Canada. As a matter of fact, I'm at least two grades have music. Well, it goes longer. There's almost throughout the entire elementary school in Ontario, there is music theory. In high school, there is music theory as well.
yeah.
So, wouldn't you say that you know this is more or less an indictment on the American educational system?
I think that clearly we need to, be able to, if somebody else isn't going to do it, then we need to do it. We need to pick up the slack. And I think that, one of the missions of, the Pipe Band Association is to provide education.
Right.
Um, and I think if we have qualified instructors
Yes.
and and that would go along and follow along the same lines of looking at our adjudication system. um, are we streamlined across North America? Are we doing the same types of things to ensure that our adjudicators are certified,
Yes,
that
that's a good
that
point.
that they're you know um, being reviewed every so often to
Mhm.
ensure their certification. um, I know Andrew Douglas and I have talked so much, and I love that guy. I know I frustrate him because sometimes the things that come out of my mouth are things he doesn't want to hear, and vice versa. But one thing that he has really kind of hit home for me, and something that I really can relate to, is in our adjudication system. It's so important to be objective rather than subjective.
Mhm.
So, in other words, did you hold that note the full value or didn't you? Did you
Yes,
miss the
technical aspects.
Yeah. Did you miss the cutoff? Did you strike in? All of these different things that are objective rather than a score sheet that says nicely played, very musical.
Right. Right. And I see how I see how judges do tend to operate. I mean, they don't give the placings until they've heard everyone, and they do place them in their orders, and then once it's all said and done, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, yes, and it it comes down to really there's yeah, you have a point. The subjectivity that tends to go into judging kind of it kind of misses some of the finer aspects of music in general, because you don't just want to listen to the artistic portion of it. You want to put it into a technical, into a sort of a technical scorecard as well.
Right. Right. So, the way I kind of picture it in my mind is uh, you're taking your lessons either on a weekly, biweekly, or whatever
Right.
on your ongoing basis. And then when you show up to competition, that's like your finals, you know, that's your report card or your midterms or whatever. And so then you take those scores back. But, if the scores are subjective, it's not really helpful for this, for the competitor. And so that's why I just, I fully agree with my good friend Andrew Douglas, and think that, there should be some kind of development or some kind of look at how we can be a bit more objective, not to the point where it's detrimental to the artistic or the
No, no,
musicality
no.
of the.
You want to keep, well, it is an art.
Right.
No matter how you look.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I think that that's important. And that kind of flows into the education too, because not only are we looking at pipers and drummers and or drum majors, we can also look at adjudicators. You know, how are we training our adjudicators? And then that can go back to even our music boards, and our executive committee. I just think that it's important that when you have a new administration, that the administration is clear on their objectives of what they think is their priorities and the things that are most important. um, I can say that for me, I probably have not done a great or grand job on that. Although I do tend to, and I think it's my ADHD that kicks in, that just kind of, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, let's do this. And then everybody else is just like, you know, stop with committees. So, yeah, I don't know if that made sense, but that's where I'm leaving it. That's what I'm saying. Sticking to it. And we'll be back in a moment.
Oh, sorry about that, Jeff.
No, no worries.
Wireless, receiver went out.
Ah, okay.
Hey, we're live. Sorry about that. All right. So
It's it's
back
good
to
to
that.
be back.
Yeah, what the heck happened? Okay. So what are your future plans at this point?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. Um, so I have been doing this WUSPBA president um, for 7 years total. I was president a few years back, and then I came on again. And uh, October is our AGM, and it is my intention to kind of step back a little bit and let somebody, maybe some of these youngins take over and see what they can do. Um, and so I will not be running for reelection. Um, and I have also kind of taking a step back with a couple of the games that I've been working with, that being the Salt Lake and the Payson games. So this is my last year with the Salt Lake games and also Payson. I am staying on with the Pleasanton, the Caledonian Club of San Francisco games. Um, uh, great, great time to help out with those, and I think that frees me up to be able to do that a bit. And then I have a desire, something that I worked in the Department of Anesthesiology at the University of Utah for
Saw that,
40
yes.
years. And uh, and that was an incredible journey, working up at the U. However, I really felt like I should have gone into what I really wanted to do, and that was film scoring. So I wanted to be a Hans Zimmer or John Williams, and so I
Not
am
not Ludwig Göransson.
well, of course, you know. Um,
Oh my sons will kill me for even saying that. No, John Williams, damn it.
yeah. Um, so I am looking to go to the Berklee School of Music, um, and work on some film scoring. I'm not saying I'm going to write music for movies, but I want to say that I could be able to do that. And so I think that's kind of a passion for me. Another individual that I met up with, just incredible lady, Stephanie Burns, who has written a few books on practice and memorization and um, competition nerves and that kind of thing. And I've been working with her, and she has kind of encouraged me to do some writing. And so I am working on a book called The Book of Mann, Mann. And I've got a ways to go on that. And of course, if I show it to Steph, I want to make sure that, it's worth showing it before I send it off to her, because I think she's got a a great critical eye, and I want to make sure that I do it right.
Of
Um,
course.
let's see what else. Oh, yeah. So I currently have been working with my brother-in-law, Andrew Morrill, and uh, we have been working on an album of Celtic music, and I had an incredible opportunity about 5 weeks ago. Um, I had written a couple of tunes that needed vocals, and Renee, you weren't available. I don't know where you were when I
Oh
called.
darn.
And so, I talked to our sound engineer, and he was originally in LA, and he used to work with like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Sting and all sorts of, big names. And when we were working on a couple of these tunes, he said, this this really sounds fairly good. He said, why don't you get? He said, have you ever heard of Celtic Woman?
Oh,
And
Celtic Woman. Okay.
I said, kind of just laughingly, yeah, I've heard of them. And he said, well, why don't you get them to help you? And I
Okay.
went home. I laughed all the way home and told my wife, and she thought that was the funniest thing that she had ever heard. And the next day, he had an email address. And so, I thought, well, the worst, ignore me or say dead no, you know,
Yeah.
or I don't know,
Or as we'd say, hard no.
hard no. And so I thought, okay, send off the email, sent the email off. And about 10 minutes later, I get this email back. And she says, could you send me a soundbite, so that I can hear, can you send me the soundtrack? So I sent her some uh, sound, and about 5 minutes after that, she sends me an email back and she says, I'm in. So
Wow.
I
How can you? Wow.
so
Terrific. Wow. Yeah, I know about them, and yeah, that's a huge bonus, man.
so
Huge
uh,
bonus.
yeah, 4 weeks ago, I flew her in from Dublin, and we spent about 10 days in the recording studio, and came out with some incredible music. And man, I'm really excited. So that's another thing, is we're working on this album now. So
Man, I'm impressed. I am very impressed.
I was shocked.
I guess so. That's the mother of all. That's the mother of all Texas-sized 10-4s. Wow,
Oh,
that's big, Jeff. Good for you, man. Good
thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
Well, Jeff, it's been very much a pleasure. Had
Yeah.
a, had a couple minutes of technical difficulties, but hey, we got it all sorted out.
Yeah.
But hey, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for all the help you've given me along the way on getting the information I need to get out to our viewers. I mean, this is why
Absolutely.
I do it,
Yeah.
and and I and I do for you guys too. I mean, the more news I get out there, the more people are getting into everything leading up to the Glasgow Green, the better it gets.
Right.
And I can't thank you enough for that.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Renee. I really enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it very much too. We'll catch up with each other along the way here.
Sounds
Maybe,
good.
who knows? Maybe we'll see each other in Maxville. Who knows?
There you go.
Hey,
There you go.
thanks, Jeff.
All righty.
That was Jeff Mann, president of the WUSPBA. And when I come back, I'll have my little Jerry Springer moment. Well, without the trailer trash and stuff. Be right back. When they say that infrastructure is everything, batteries go out and you least expect them to go out. And when you're a one-man show, well, thankfully I had my wired mic handy, so shifted over to that and away we go. So once again, thank you, Jeff, for appearing on our show. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you along the way. Now, those of you who are Babylon 5 fans know this guy. He asks us all the same question. What do you want? I had a moment over the weekend to talk with Rob Lennox of the Big Rab Show from a studio in Northern Ireland. We had a long discussion. Some of it recorded for a show, a lot of it not recorded. I can see a friendship between us on the horizon as we share the same passion for the pipe band life, and we want to broadcast more about our passions. What was the thing he liked about the show? He liked the fact that every show I am establishing a history of the people I talk to. I am trying to introduce you, the audience, to the people who make our pipe band lives interesting and who have some perspective to share. These people understand the challenges of living the pipe band life, and how the pipe band life is lived has some common threads and some have their unique threads. For example, how we live the pipe band life here in the Canadian province of Ontario differs in different parts of the country, in other parts of this country, in other parts of the world. But there is always a common thread. It's in the music, it's in our movements, and it's in our love for the Celtic culture. And yes, my name may be Rene Gauthier, but I have Celtic roots from both sides of my family. Otherwise, my sister and I would not have been born redheads. Families in Quebec have adopted Irish Catholic children for centuries, and my maternal grandfather's mother, my great-grandmother, Gertrude Hogan, has generational ties in Ireland. But I digress. Rob Lennox has a podcast that he puts out every Wednesday. He broadcasts on Fuse every Tuesday, and he has an interesting show of his own on YouTube. So if you want to take in more of the pipe band life, check out his podcast, check out his YouTube channel. Have a listen. The link to the YouTube channel is in the description. Now, I see that there are at least 70 of you watching this show every week, and I am grateful for that. And if you think there is someone who would like to watch this show, please share this with your friends and family. Don't keep this show a secret, because there's more to come from this channel. In June, I will start presenting highlights from the band competitions here in Ontario. Something that should delight some new viewers, and some extra footage will be kept in a members-only area when I get that off the ground. But that's not all. I hope to begin following a different band from start to finish at a competition site and create a real reality show, not this scripted BS you see on TV. Of course, that would be a challenge considering how tight-lipped certain bands are about what they do before, during, and after going into that circle. The big thing here is that this channel was made to entertain you, the audience, and give you a relatable perspective in what we do and why we do it. Everybody has a reason. I will tell you more of my story, as there will obviously be one episode where you follow me. But this will be a little more unique, as a drum major's perspective is different from a player's. I will also start presenting a vlog of my pipe band life and give you more regular updates on what is going on along the Ontario circuit. This all began when I started a blog called Canadian Pipe Band Life. I created a magazine that would present the latest news along the Ontario circuit and anywhere else I can get news. I even had a little series that I called Pipe Band Adventures, and I presented stories, some humorous, some interesting along my pipe band life, and provided descriptions on places that I have been and the things that I have saw. And that's all going to video from this point. But I want to hear from you, the audience, the viewer. You are why I do this. You are the people I want to entertain and inform. So if you have something that you want to see here on this channel, you have two ways to do that. Put a comment in the comment section below, or you can email me at pipebandlifetv@gmail.com. One word, pipebandlifetv@gmail.com. I even have a Facebook page for Pipe Band Life TV that you can like and get the latest and greatest updates. Either way, I want to hear from you. Those who make the best comments will be presented on this show at some point. Perhaps there's something I said wrong. Perhaps there is something I said right. That's something you agree with and would like to offer further comment on it. Perhaps there's a story that you want to share. I want to hear it from you. This isn't just my channel. It's your channel too. You are watching this now, and you are why I do this. So please, don't be shy. Let me know what's on your mind, because I don't just cover the competitive aspects of what we do here. I want to cover the social and human perspectives on what we do and why we do it. There are lots of topics I want to bring here, and there will be plenty of more ideas as people keep making the news, and we all need to make some sense of whatever happens along the trail. I can't thank you all enough for watching this show, and I hope to personally see all of you along the way, because I want to meet everyone who has enjoyed the show, and I hope to meet everyone who has appeared on this show. But not you, Peter Hummel. I see enough of you already. If Rob Lennox enjoys what I have brought, then there's a lot of you out there that enjoys it too. So by all means, let me know what's on your mind. You know how you know how to do it. Email me, pipebandlifetv@gmail.com. Put your comment in the comment section down there. Or get on my Facebook page, Pipe Band Life TV. It's out there and right there. See that maple leaf? That's where it's right there too. Let me know what's on your mind. The more, I mean, just like one guy said in Hamilton, your comments make the show better. Anyways, if you did like what you've seen here, punch that like button like a boss. And if you want to see more of this, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to my channel. Ring that bell. Get notifications on what I'm doing next. And until then, I'll see you again soon. I'm Rene Goche. Bye for now.